Welcome, everyone, back to the USFL podcast player interview series. James Larsen here with the USFL newsroom, and I'm joined by Cameron Echols-Luper, brand new wide receiver for the New Orleans Breakers. Just signed the deal yesterday. How you doing today, Cam?
I'm doing good, my man. How are you, brother?
Doing great, doing great. I mean, lots going on in the world of the USFL and spring football in general. But for you personally, real quick, you've been with the New Jersey Generals the last 2 years, and here you are with New Orleans. Just take me through that process and what made you make that decision.
Man, I had a pretty good last 2 years in New Jersey. I appreciate Coach Mike Riley and Coach Smith for giving me the opportunity. My first professional job. I can't thank them enough. But it's just business is business, man. And at the end of the day, it's always what's best for me, and it was always what's best for the team. So the Generals didn't retain me back, and so man, it was from that moment on. It was me and my agent did some work of trying to find what was the best fit for me, what was the best place to play, and it just kind of just how a coincidence happened, man. I got a couple friends that play on New Orleans, and at that same time, I kind of got in touch with the GM, and he got in touch with me, man. It was just more of a mutual interest, and we just went from there.
Right on, right on. Yeah, a lot going on in free agency right now. We've already seen like 5 or 6 guys switch teams. But yeah, before we get into all of that, I'd love to hear just quick about your experience in New Jersey. I mean, I feel like season one, you kind of were starting to make your name known, right? But you were kind of behind Cavante Turpin, Darius
hmm
Shepard were there. And then this season, those two guys weren't there. You had a much bigger role. I feel like this was probably the best year of your spring football career. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. This was my first season as a true starter. So, my first year, like you said, I was behind Turb, I was behind Shep, and I was truthfully, I was their backups for every whatever series it was or formation. But yeah, I was their backup, and I was the primary returner my first year, and man, I just had to get my feet wet. That was inaugural season, and I came in late. I was picked up, I think, like the last week of training camp, I believe. So, I was behind the 8 ball a little bit, which I caught on fast and, transferred into season two, man. Yeah, we lost the MVP. We lost Shep to the XFL. And, man, it was just, and I would say it was my time, but it was my moment to prove to Coach Riley and prove to everybody else, not only not to prove to him, but to prove a lot of people right that not only I can play, but I can belong and I can start and I can do this at a high level, man. And like I said, I appreciate Coach Riley for trusting in me and giving me the opportunity to start every game and just show that he can trust me each and every play. And man, it was fun, bro. But we left a lot on the table. We left a lot on the field as generals. And, I'm gonna miss my guys, man. I said this on the interview yesterday, man. It's probably one of the best locker rooms I've been in, man. And we had a great time, making like a lot of great memories.
Right on. Yeah, as you said, a lot of changes in New Jersey just from season one to season two. Another guy, Luis Perez, he went to the XFL, he won that championship there. So with your quarterback situation in New Jersey this year, it was quite fascinating where you had 3 starters throughout the year between Dakota Prukop, Kyle Oletta, and then of course your guy DeAndre Johnson.
hmm
Can you take me through that and just what it was like? Because obviously you stayed very consistent throughout the entire season, but I feel like there was probably a little bit of instability offensively just because of all those changes, guys coming and going, some of the injuries, etc. What was that like?
Man, just as anybody can think or just imagine how it is playing with 3 different quarterbacks. Yeah, it's hectic, you know what I'm saying? But what people also don't know is we're practicing with them every single day, So at some point in time, we're getting reps with them, whether it's with Kyle or Dre or Dakota, we were getting reps with them at some point during the week. So, majority of the time, we knew we was going into the game with Dre, but oftentimes, it would get switched the night before or the day of, and it wasn't on us, no, it was just on us to catch the ball and go out and do what we do. But yeah, man, it never helps, it never hurts to know who your starting quarterback is and to know who you're going into the game with. But at the same time, man, that quarterback position is all about trust. And, if it's safe to say that, if your head coach doesn't trust who he has behind his center, man, he's going to make a change and he's going to make a pull anytime he feels necessary. And, I kind of think that a lot of people don't put that into consideration that, a head coach and a play caller has to trust that your guy is going to, put the ball where it needs in the right place. He's not going to put ball in harm's way or, what I'm saying, especially, may or may not lose a game for us. So it was just, it was harder on Coach Riley than it really was for us. I feel like I can say because, yeah, he was a play caller, but he had to know and trust every guy was going to do their job. And I'm not saying that Dre or Kyle or Dakota didn't do their job, but, it was along with inconsistent play at quarterback, it was a lot of inconsistent play from the generals in a whole. I'm not going to sit here and just harp and just say it was a quarterback says the quarterback did that because shoot, receivers we drop balls, running backs they fumbled. Offensive line they missed blocks, they missed blitz pickups, and we all had a role. We all had a narrative in how every game and how the season happened or how it ended. So I'm not going to sit here and just harp on, you know, the mishaps of the quarterback play because we all had a role in that.
Right, right. Yeah, and as we saw, 22 was a 9-1 season where it looked like Generals were heading straight to the championship, and then this year, again, a lot of talent, just the execution wasn't fully there. But speaking of
Right.
quarterbacks, obviously DeAndre Johnson and you have quite the relationship there, not just in the USFL, but going back to the spring league where you played with the Sea
Mhm.
Lions. So what's it been like playing with him the last 3 years? And now maybe you're starting to think like maybe he's not my quarterback in year 4 in spring football.
Yeah, it sucks to say that Dre may not be my quarterback this season because we've kind of been together the last 3 to 4 years, man. And what people really don't know is me and Dre, our relationship goes back to our senior year my senior year at Western and his redshirt junior year at FAU. And I was transferring from Arkansas State, and I was looking for a new school to play. And Dre was at FAU, and I contacted Dre. I talked to Kendall Browse and Coach Kiffin and all them, and I was on verge of going to FAU, man, and just some things happened. So, me and Dre's relationship, it began from there. So, it goes way back further than the spring league. And it just so happened that, when the spring league did come up and Dre was with the Sea Lions, man, it was easier for me to transition and to play with him because we've already had a relationship. We've already, thrown a couple times. And so just being with Dre the last couple of years, man, has been a tremendous experience and it's only just made our relationship as friends and as brothers even stronger because he knows that I'm going to be exactly what he needs me to be on the field every single time. He knows I have his back, and that's vice versa. So, our relationship as friends has grown stronger than just being teammates and just being on the field together.
Right on, right on. Yeah, and as you're saying, like heading into year 4, who knows what that quarterback situation is going to look like? Because now you're in New Orleans, and you've got
Right.
the good thing is you've got a very solid structure around you, and with the organization of general manager Ryan Jones, and of course head coach John DeFilippo, a guy is a proven coach. He won a Super Bowl just a few years ago. So, kind
Right.
of, what's the excitement level for you there? Kind of heading into the unknown here. We don't know what quarterbacks might look like. They have Akil Glass, they have Davis Cheek. McLeod Bethel Thompson, he doesn't look like he's coming back. So there's openings for DeAndre or somebody to end up there. But just in general, what's the excitement level for you like just heading to a new organization where it's like, all right, time to prove myself here?
Man, it's always that it's always that thing of, every time you go somewhere new, it's always, man, it's a fresh start, a new start. But a lot of people also don't understand is, you know, for guys in position like me, we have to make a new team. We have to learn a whole new system. What I'm saying? We have to learn, well, not even learn, but we have to learn the guys around us, gel with the guys around us. And so for most people, I would say it's hard for me because I've adapted to change and I've adapted to moving because I'm a coach's son. But a lot of guys don't adapt and don't transition well. But one of those things that I've been blessed with is I'm a coach's son, and so I'm so used to moving to the point to where I adapt quicker than most. So me transitioning from the generals to the breakers, man, is I wouldn't even say it's a curse, but more of a blessing because just from the conversations I had with the GM and the head coach, man, I truly feel as if I'm going to finally be able to be free and show what I can do on the field and show my versatility and, show that I am more than a returner. And just hopefully, with the more talks and more conversations as we head into the camp, I can get more of an understanding of what they want from me and how they want it from me, and get an understanding of this playbook. And man, just truly show that, I show like you said, I show glimpses with the generals the past couple of years, but really just show a whole episode of what I can do instead of just glimpses.
Right, right. Yeah, and speaking of that wide receiver room, you're going to be surrounded by some guys that have really performed at a
Yeah.
high level. I mean, Jonathan Adams. I mean, that's a guy that having you on
hmm
one side, having him on the other side, that's gonna be interesting to watch. They also
Yep.
just re-signed Lee Morris. He played a big role in the
Absolutely.
2023 season. And then you got some other guys like Eli Stove. He's a great returner, but also he's a guy because he's fitting in. So what's it like for you now? You're gonna have to get adapted to a new receiver room. But what's the excitement level there? Getting to play with a guy like Jay Adams.
Let's see. Me and Jay Adams, we have a funny relationship. Man. Me and Jay Adams both went to Arkansas State. When I left, he came in, and so while we were recruiting him, we built a small little relationship to where we talked a few times, but so it's not a brand new fresh thing when I'm going into that room. You know, um, Me and Eli, we trained together in Tampa, so we have a small little relationship there. So I'm not going to a brand new fresh room where I don't know anybody, and that's the
Right,
beauty of this. I wouldn't say I just necessarily have like best friends in the room, but I have guys that I've already had conversations with. I've already gone out to eat a few times with a couple of these guys, so it's I've been around them a few times. So man, it should not saying it should be easy, but it should be one of those things where it's like we just pick up where we left off.
right, right. And yeah, speaking of which, I mean, you guys have been around with the USFL kind of in their hub systems. I'm sure you guys have bumped
hmm
into each other at hotels often
Absolutely,
and on the
absolutely,
field and things like that. So yeah, that's awesome. I'd love to hear your thoughts on playing for John DeFilippo. I mean, that's an exciting thing in and of
absolutely.
itself. I mean, playing for a guy that won a Super Bowl not that long ago, just a few years
hmm
ago with the Philadelphia Eagles, and again, he's just proven himself at every single level. Helped lead this team to a 7-3 record last year. So, kind of, what's the hype like there for you of just getting to play for a guy like Flip?
And the research I've done, man, he's a tremendous, outstanding genius of offensive guy, and just from the talks and being on the phone with him, man, I can't wait to get in the building, get in the room around him, and just listen and just say learn off of what he has, and saying what he can teach me and show me and guide me by, man, because of just watching, the old thing. The last couple of days, I've gone back. I watched some of the Browns film. I watched some of the Eagles film just to see how they played, man. And I went back and watched some of the Breakers game. And I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but it's a lot of similarities and just see how guys react and see how the game goes. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly, I'm more excited. I feel like this go around than I have been the last 2 years because of I truly feel like I wouldn't say it's a perfect fit, but I feel like it's more of a better fit for me as an athlete, as a receiver to play under Coach Flip because of his system and and how he carries himself and how he just calls games, man. And you know, um, it's one of those things where I'm just have to sit here and just be like, we all just have to sit here and wait and see how it transpires.
Right. Right. Again, a lot of unknowns between the quarterback situation and things like that. But speaking of unknowns, USFL free agency. It's been a whirlwind so far since opening up
Yeah,
October 1st. I mean, it was kind of quiet the first couple of days, and all of a sudden, we've seen some big moves between you heading to the Breakers, your guy Trey Williams,
absolutely.
he's in Pittsburgh now, DeAndre
Yeah,
Overton to Pittsburgh. I mean, the Maulers have really just been loading up in general.
man,
But what are some of
absolutely.
your initial thoughts on just the whole free agency process? I mean, when this video gets posted, there might be some other blockbuster moves. Who knows? But it's been pretty interesting so far, hasn't it?
Man, interesting. The free agency started off with Mark Thompson and Jamar, just friendly, saying jokingly friendly going at it. But it was just one of those things where it's just like that set the tone of free agency, I feel like. Because
Absolutely.
after that, you saw guys going from this team to that team, my signing to the Breakers, Trey going from the same hub from one team to another, man. And same thing with Overton. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, did Jamar and Mark spark something here? Did y'all spark a
Right.
fire in some guys? Like, You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, we were all sitting here like, okay, well, what's the unknown about free agency? What's about to happen? And then we sit here and see the whole debacle on Twitter. I'm sorry, we see the whole debacle on X, and then we see all the news breaking. So it was just kind of just like it was like a real news segment on Channel 4 News, man.
Right.
It started with okay, what's happening in today's world, and it started happening with just news, and just breaking news, man.
Yeah.
But it's I honestly the free agency, how this free agency was set up and how it happened or how it's happening. It truly, I don't know if I can speak for other guys, but I can speak for myself and a few others. It's actually made us feel like we're actually in a true professional league.
Hmm.
Like we
Yeah.
see guys getting picked up. We're seeing guys getting picked up off waivers. We're seeing guys being traded from a rival team to the team that's in the same hub, but essentially a few hours away.
Right.
We're seeing things that happens in the NFL every day happening in our league. So it's okay. Yeah, we have good football. Yes, we have guys who are actually making it to the league, but now we actually have a system that looks just like an NFL structure. So now it makes sense for a merger to happen to where, okay, if the NFL does want to partner, how they used to partner with NFL Europe, it now makes sense because now we're following the same structure, we're following the same game plan, the same guidelines as the NFL. So, when John Doe transitions from the Maulers to the Patriots, now it's not he's going in there just completely eyes shut and not knowing what's going on.
Right. Right. No, that's funny you mentioned that. I was about to bring that up where, like, yeah, of course, the USFL is professional football. It's a standalone professional football league, and it has been since it came back. But this whole free agency period now just adds to the legitimacy of it and adds
Hmm.
the excitement
Absolutely.
factor, right? I mean, what's the most exciting
Absolutely.
thing in football in the offseason? It's seeing where players end up. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
this guy, his contract's expired, and where's he going to go? What teams are going to be bringing him in? I mean, just this past season, we saw some major moves with Aaron Rodgers heading to the Jets. Of course, we know how that ended, but
Absolutely.
like things like
Right.
that, were like now all of a sudden, like, where's DeAndre Johnson going to go? Where's Mark Thompson going to end up? Where's Echols-Luper going to end up? Like all these, I
Right.
mean, there was like over 80 free agents. So like, yeah, to add on to your point there, I just think it's fascinating to watch just how all this is playing out. And we're going to see some guys kind of hold out, I think. There's going to be some guys that
I think
they're
so
going to take a
too.
couple months.
I honestly I think so too. I have a couple guys in mind that I've had talks to that I know are going to do it. But we've also had the talk of like, bro, it's better to have a job than be looking for a job when it's time. And who's to say that, from all the talks, who's to say that the best six teams from each league are going to actually make it for the merge, because it might only be 10. We don't know yet. We've only heard the rumors and heard, the he say, she say what's going on. So,
Right.
I do feel like there's going to be some guys who held out, but, hopefully they do listen to this podcast and they listen to what, just listen to this advice, man. I truly feel like it's better to be on a team and have a job than be looking for it and waiting for it when that time comes.
Right.
Because I just feel like with security and just feeling, secure and at peace, man, when 3, 4 months come from now or 2 months when they say, hey, report date is XYZ and okay, these are where the hubs at. Me personally, that's all the news I'm waiting for because I already have a team, I already have a home base, I already have somewhere I'm going. So now I don't have to worry about that aspect of it. Now I'm just waiting on dates. I'm just waiting on report time. I'm just waiting on what camp's going to be. Where we're playing at. And as a football player, that's not saying that's a lot on my plate, but it's more on your plate trying to figure out, okay, where am I going to be living? Where am I going to be playing? How is my bills going to be taken care of? How, what I'm saying? I got a family to
Right.
feed. How is all that going to be taken care of alongside of where we're going to be playing? Where am I going to be? What I'm saying? Where are we going to be stationed? Is it going to be a hub or are we going to be in our own city? I'm going to have to learn a whole new city. Like, what I'm saying? Instead of having to think about everything in the whole, now you're minimizing what you have to worry about.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a great point. And obviously, like so much going on, especially in your world of being a free agent. Now you're signing to a new team and you're in a position where we don't really know exactly what's going to happen with this merger. I mean,
Exactly.
obviously, the leagues had announced their intent to merge, but I think it's
Hmm.
interesting the way they announced it. It's an intent. It doesn't mean it's
Right.
actually going to happen. Like it could take
Right.
another year for them to actually merge. Like we could see another season of just the
Absolutely.
USFL and just the XFL. There's so many moving pieces and also all the legal stuff, which I'll be honest, some of that stuff goes over my head. But it's like there's so many
Man,
moving pieces here. So for you to kind of get that stability is pretty clutch. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole merger thing. Like, do you think it's good for spring football? You know, you looking forward to merging with the XFL, or would you rather stay just standalone as the USFL?
honestly, I'm more excited about the merger than I think I was excited about it being two leagues. Yes, two leagues, it gives more opportunities, more chances, more games, more play. But if you honestly think about it, yes, it's taking away opportunities, taking away jobs, but you also giving okay, how do I say this without it sounding as bad? With two leagues, you have a lot more opportunities for guys to make it to the NFL, right? But with the merger, you limit that, but you're also giving the opportunities to the best guys and not
Right.
just a whole bunch of variety of guys, if that makes sense.
Right. No, there's definitely the pros and cons there. And I think with a merger, you actually have a higher chance of connecting with the NFL simply because
Exactly.
with, and this is something that I've known for a while is that the NFL is kind of holding out on making an actual partnership with either league because they're like, well, there's two. We know both of them are not going to last
Hmm.
forever. Let's see which one actually stands. And then maybe we'll actually,
Right.
partner with them legitimately down the road. So
Absolutely.
now if you're putting the two leagues together, it's like, oh, now there is one league. Now we've got the
Absolutely.
firepower of the XFL and the USFL combined into one. Maybe there is something more for a partnership here. Maybe we can have
Absolutely.
player sharing and things like that.
Absolutely. And and it would make sense for if you really think about, the business side of it, it would make sense for them to merge into one league because at the end of the day, football is football. You know, um, there's not too many different ways you can play football. And as a professional athlete, if we have one goal to get to the NFL, I feel like a merger is by far the best thing because it now, not saying that guys aren't prepared, not saying guys aren't capable or are caliber of making it to the league, but it pushes away those guys who aren't as prepared or aren't as capable or aren't as on the same caliber as a guy like Lucky Jackson or a guy like Ja'Cory Pearson or a guy like Abrams, the running back for the DC Defenders, of Cavante Turpin. It eliminates all those other guys who aren't on those pedestals who deserve to be in the league, and instead of taking somebody, Julian Edelman, who's 40 years old, you know,
Yeah,
that's my point.
right.
Is it gives
Exactly.
more guys of a platform to make it to the league instead of pulling these guys who, yes, they have NFL experience. Yes, but there's other guys who just are experienced and just aren't as good who deserve this opportunity.
Right. And basically, it's just a chance for the guys who haven't been to that level yet to actually get game reps. And I think that's what a
Absolutely.
lot of people miss because, like, there's so much talk online where you see people are like, spring football, you don't really need it. It's like, yes, we do. Like, just
Yes,
look
you
at the
do.
impact of the guys. I mean, just from this year, we had over 100 from both leagues signed NFL contracts over the spring and summer. But it's like, for you to actually develop your game, and I feel like you as an athlete could probably provide even more insight to this. There's only so much you can do when you're sitting on a practice squad, right? Of course, you're practicing with the
Exactly.
team, you're there, but like when you actually get to play 10, 12 games in a spring football league and you get to get those starting reps, I feel like that just provides you with so much growth rather than just sitting on a practice squad or just hoping you get a workout here or there or something like that.
Absolutely. And it does, man, because, you know, confidence builds excellence. The more you do something, the more confident you're going to become. The more you do something, the better you're going to become. So just sitting here playing, if you and I were on the Cowboys practice roster for 2 years, no games, no nothing, not saying we're not ready, not saying we're not prepared, not saying that they throw us in the fire,
I
we
would
can't
not
get
be
the
ready to
job
be on
done.
that practice squad, just so you know. But
Hey, man, you never know. I'd have to get you ready. You know what I'm saying? But the
there
thing
we go.
is, the thing is, taking a guy from a practice squad, throwing him on a USFL active roster and allow him to play 10 games, I bet you if you bring him back to that practice roster, you're going to see a two-time different player. Not only because he's confident, but he knows exactly what he's supposed to do, how he's supposed to do it. He just played 10 games, so now he's ready to play another 18 if he needs to, or play 5 or 6 when needed. Or
Right.
now if he is on the practice squad, now he can give Darius Slay, Forbes, Sauce Gardner the exact needed reps, game like reps that they need because he just got off of a season and he knows what it's supposed to look like in a game. There's only
Exactly.
so many game like reps that you can give in practice that look like game like reps. But from a guy coming from who just played 10 games, he knows exactly what a game like rep is in practice. So now,
Exactly.
not only are you helping yourself, but you're also helping everybody else on the team who deserves and needs it.
I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, I think again, it just proves that spring football is not just valuable to the players, but also like the NFL execs. I mean, you have to know. I mean, we've seen throughout the last few months just multiple coaches and GMs and everyone just like, yeah,
Absolutely.
we love what the USFL is doing. We love what the XFL is doing. We want them to keep doing what they're doing. So hopefully those sorts of conversations lead to like some actual partnership down the road because in my opinion, would be what would make this stuff last forever, right? Where you've
I
got the
mean,
NBA G League for the NBA, you've
absolutely.
got the MLB with their minor league system. The NFL needs
Absolutely.
something like that. They can't just solely rely on college. And I think the direction that the league's going, they're starting to realize like, hey, spring football is something that we should invest in, and actually keep it around. Um,
Absolutely. And and it would just make all the sense because from my understanding, The Rock does have a great relationship with the NFL, you know, from everything we've seen on that's out here in the public.
right,
Um, Daryl Johnson is one of the, top commentators and analysts in the NFL. It was a Super Bowl, champion. So I mean, for us to see a merger happen or intent to happening, it would make sense for us to be not the development league to the NFL, but for a partnership for us to develop for the
exactly,
NFL. You know what I'm saying?
exactly,
Like that would make a lot more sense. I'm not sitting here trying to give people like inside scoop or you know what I'm saying, but like if you look at the if you look at the picture that's painted, it kind of tells you, you know, just because of the pedigree that The Rock has, Daryl Johnson, like these are guys who I'm just speaking for just off of Daryl's. He's around NFL guys, NFL execs, NFL GMs, other guys who have those same connections every single day.
right,
And I'm pretty sure there's no, I can't speak for them, but it just will make sense for them to have, hey man, walking down the hallway one day, hey man, you ever thought about the USFL being like a sister league or like a development league to NFL? And
right, right.
I'm
Those
pretty sure that's happened.
conversations definitely have happened. So I
You
mean,
know what I'm saying? So like it would make sense for this merger to happen because who would know better than two guys with that experience how to make it work?
exactly.
That's
And
how
and you
that's how I
already
look and
have
that's how I feel like.
you already have the firepower too of like Fox Sports behind the USFL, who's
Absolutely.
obviously Fox. I mean, is like
ESPN.
arguably the biggest conglomerate for the NFL already. I mean,
Right.
the NFL on Fox is like probably the staple channel. Not only that, but Sunday Night Football on NBC. NBC's already a USFL partner. Monday Night Football on
Right.
ESPN. Oh, who's the XFL on ESPN? So it makes sense to see
And we
like,
got Peacock.
yeah, oh yeah, exactly. I mean, you got it all. So, yeah, fascinating stuff going on, and we'll see what happens. Shifting gears here, I'd love to hear real quick, just maybe if you have some predictions. This is all speculation here. Back to USFL free agency. Some of these big names are on the table. You got any ideas on where you think some of these guys might end up? Of course, pure speculation here.
Give me like three names and let's see if we can put them together.
Let's see. All right. I gotta start with a big one. Mark Thompson.
Well, let's start by saying for starters, we know he's not going to Birmingham. Okay.
just
Um,
just a small hunch. Yeah.
ah, you know, from I think a little birdie told me that Mark is from originally from New Jersey. I believe I saw or read that somewhere. So because I know their offense, because I know what they like, it would make sense for Mark to go to the Generals.
Man,
It
Thompson
would,
and Vito on the same roster, I think that would be too much. That would be insane.
right. But it would make perfect sense. Like just if I was still on the Generals, I would say the same thing. Me being on the Breakers, I'm saying the same thing. It just makes sense, you know?
Yeah,
Like
that
it
would be a
just makes
fascinating fit.
sense. Like
Imagine
it just
Thompson and Vito coming at you, man. That would be something. Pause. Okay,
okay,
come on, Cam. Come on,
okay.
Cam. You gotta do it to me. Dang it.
You did it, bro. All
All right,
right,
all right.
another day.
Moving
Let's
on,
go. Another
moving
day.
on. All right, your guy DeAndre Johnson.
You know, just because his play style, and not because I'm biased, but because of his play style, I like him. Birmingham and New Orleans, man. Just because of his how he plays, DeAndre is the type of guy that if you allow him to get the ball out of his hands quick and fast, he
Hmm,
becomes very, very confident, very, very sure of okay, I can manage it now. I'm not saying that he's not capable of it, but we all know those guys who, if you just help them just a little bit of okay, I'm throw the slant, throw the bubble, throw this just quick game. It allows them to be them now. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Um, and just with the offense that Birmingham runs, and from what I've seen from New Orleans, it fits his play style. You know, it fits the type of guy he is. It fits his demeanor. It fits how he gels. And you know, from the experience that I know about Coach Holtz and Coach Flip, I feel like he would gel better with those type of guys.
Yeah, I think that would be a fascinating fit just because you look at New Orleans the last 2 years, they've had Kyle Sloter and McLeod Bethel Thompson, who are not phenomenal passers. I mean, we know what they're
Mhm.
capable of, but they're not as mobile as DeAndre.
Right,
So I feel like
right,
it would be interesting if the Breakers do move in that direction. Like he's the type of guy that they definitely could bring in to not only. I mean, he's an excellent
absolutely,
passer, but he also can do things with his legs. I mean, I remember being on the sidelines for that game in Week 3 against Michigan and watching him just take off for like 75 yards. I mean, that
absolutely,
guy
absolutely.
he hits that hole. I mean, he's gone. So.
Yeah, that's the thing about people don't that they don't realize about Dre is they swear up and down he's a very underrated average passer. But if you go back and look, how do you expect to be an above average passer when on your third drop step you're about to get hit?
Right.
You know, and I played quarterback my whole life. I played quarterback in college. You know, I was transitioned to receiver once I got to college, but I'm not going to sit here. I understand the entire picture of it, but I understand enough to know it's hard to get that ball out of your hands when there's two to three or even one 6'4", 250 pound, close to 300 guy in your face. You know, and it's hard to build and keep your confidence when you know. Not saying that they lost their trust in him, but the trust isn't still insured every day and to be reassured. You know, so
Right.
yeah, man. I honestly I can see Dre playing in a system like the Stallions or the Breakers.
Yeah, no, those would definitely be interesting fits. And now I got one more guy for you here. And I feel like, in my opinion, he's one of the most underrated playmakers in the league. He's just been very
Mhm.
consistent for 2 years. Definitely think he would help any team that signed him. Vinny Papale.
My God, Vinny. You know, as much as I hate saying it, Vinny would go perfect in the Generals offense. The playing the position I did this past year, he would go perfect. He
Hmm,
would fit the perfect mold of what Mike Riley really truly wants.
interesting. Yeah, I was thinking that he could because the Generals they do need some receivers. I mean, obviously they let go of you, Warren Newman's gone, so he could fit there. I was also thinking maybe the Panthers because the Panthers only have like two receivers on their roster right now, so
You know, that is very true.
there's lots of options here. I think this is like one of the coolest things for me in spring football now, where it's like it feels so real. It's like we actually get to
It
speculate on
does.
where these guys are going. Like
It
it's just the
does.
coolest thing.
It is, man.
But
And now look, now I'm over thinking about it, like I did forget about the Panthers because look, Trey Quinn did go to the Lions. Joe Walker went to the Generals,
mhm.
and so and what they signed back number 8, no, not number 8, number 9.
Yeah, Marcus Sims, he's back.
Yeah, they
They have
signed him
Devin
back, and then
Ross, who didn't
they
really
signed
play this
Ross.
year, but he played a lot in 2022.
Right.
And then you also
Um,
have AJ Richardson, who kind of duels as a running back, wide receiver kind of combo there. But that's all they have
yeah.
right now. They lost a few guys, and they I mean
Oh,
they let go of Ishmael Hyman during the season, which Pittsburgh
yeah,
picked him
because
up.
he's with them always. He had a pretty good end of the season.
Yeah, no, he was
You
great. I
know.
mean, he had that big catch that helped push him to the
Hmm.
championship. So
Absolutely.
yeah, lot of moving pieces. Any other guys that you can think of that you think would be big pickups for other teams?
You know, I don't see how they haven't signed him back, but Toby Johnson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's huge. Actually,
He
speaking
was
of yeah, Toby,
all USFL for 2 years in a row. Um, it would make sense to that's your first signing, you know. But I'm not in the offices, so I can't sit here and tell you. But
right? Well, he might be holding out too. I mean, who knows? Um, but like him,
yeah,
you have Toby Johnson, and you also have John Atkins, who hasn't re-signed to the Showboats. I mean, that's two
and
like
Boogie.
yeah, Boogie. I mean, I feel like he's probably going back to the Maulers. I mean, him and Jaron Horton have a great relationship, but you never know. I mean, you just he
True.
was trolling Panthers fans the other day. He tweeted out hashtag
You
Let's
saw that,
Hunt.
right? Saw that, right? That's why I was like, But because didn't
He's got to be trolling with
the
that
Generals
though.
sign Ethan Westbrook, didn't they?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I could not saying because he doesn't play in, but I can see Toby going there
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Michigan's lost a bit of
because
depth there because they I mean, as of right
Lost
now,
Speaks,
they
right?
haven't re-signed Breland Speaks either.
Right,
So
right.
there's there's openings everywhere. I mean, we could go on and on and on about this. There's just so many moving
Yeah,
pieces,
'cause
and
you got my mind over here thinking now.
oh yeah. Well, and speaking of the Generals, couple guys like DJ Daniel. How have they not re-signed him? He was all USFL this year, in my opinion, one of the most underrated corners in the league. Amani Dennis from the Stars. I mean, he was one of the top
Yeah,
corners as well. Like these guys have got to end up somewhere.
I can see Armani coming to the Breakers honestly because of his play style. Um, I think DJ might be one of those guys who's holding out just because I know DJ. I honestly think DJ's waiting for a bigger opportunity, but not saying he's not deserving of it because he definitely is. But like I've also said, man, it's better to have a job now than be looking for one later, man. But you know, um, only time will tell to see what these guys will do.
Yeah, we'll definitely be keeping our eyes open and our ears alert for anything that's
Absolutely.
coming out of that. Yeah, two big DJs in New Jersey, DeAndre Johnson and DJ Daniels. So
Yep.
I think that's about all I had today for you, Cam. I appreciate you joining the show. Any parting words here before we wrap up?
My God, James, I appreciate you for having me, brother. Hope you have a blessed one. I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to seeing what you do with the New Orleans Breakers next season. Everybody, Cam Echols-Luper, all USFL next season. I think it's definitely on the horizon. Exciting
I can
times.
smell it. I can
Uh,
smell it.
exciting times, man. And thanks again for joining us on the USFL podcast.
Appreciate you, boss.